theatre fans, and welcome back to part 2 of my 2-show day here in London. So I've just been to see the Rink at the Southwark Playhouse, and I will be writing my review on that shortly. And I am now just killing some time before I go and see Chess at the Coliseum, which is just behind here. I didn't realise at the time when I actually packed this morning coming to London that I actually am wearing a black and white check shirt, which pure coincidence, I'll be honest with you, but I find it very fitting for the show for tonight. So very much looking forward to go see Chess. I've got about half an hour to kill, and I'll get back to you on my thoughts on the show.
He won't be mine. Didn't I know how it would go if I knew from the start? Why am I falling apart? Never take a stranger's advice. Never let a friend fool you twice. Nobody's on the other side.
Tricks good for you, but there's no guarantee. I don't see through. Yes, I'm the arbiter, I know the score. From square one, I'll be watching all 64. Yes, I'm the arbiter, I know the score. From square one, I'll be watching all 64. Let man's petty nations tear themselves apart. My land's only borders round my heart.
Okay, and welcome back to the review part of my vlog. And as you've just seen, I went to see Chess the musical at the London Coliseum, and wow, what a production. It was phenomenal. I'll say that from the off cuff. I'll be honest, I've never seen Chess before. I've heard of the musical, I know a few of the songs. I know them so well, an anthem and One Night in Bangkok, but I've never actually got around to seeing it. I know that there are a couple of DVDs of the shows online and also in the shops as well. I've never actually got around to seeing it. So when it was announced that it was coming to the Coliseum for a short run, I knew I had to go and see it because I've always enjoyed the Coliseum's productions. I was there a few years ago to see Glenn Close in Sunset Boulevard, one of my all-time favourite musicals ever. and I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I've wanted to see more shows in this theatre because this theatre itself is absolutely stunning. I'm just blown away every time I go into this theatre. It's so big. And it's just the architecture and the little detail in the walls and in the ceiling, and that dome is just stunning. And I always look forward to seeing whatever shows they put on. Okay, so the story of Chess is a bit of a complicated one, if I'm being honest. I'll try my best to get through what I took away from the story. Now, obviously, as the title suggests, it is about the game of chess, but it's about two chess masters caught in a love triangle, all to the backdrop of the Cold War. Now, I'm going to talk mainly more about the love interest part rather than the political side, because if I'm being honest, I don't feel I'm knowledgeable enough to actually discuss it, because I'm probably going to get a lot of the facts wrong. So I'll just stick to what I know already. So for those of you that are interested in the Cold War side of the story, there is a 2-page synopsis in the programme, which obviously gives more information and detail on the plot of the story. There are actually a few more pages dedicated to the Cold War, and I'm not going to read it all. This is quite a long programme, if I'm being honest. There's quite a lot of information in there, not just about the cast bio, but obviously about the musical itself. So Chess the musical, lyrics by Tim Rice and music by Benny Andersson and Bjorn Ulvaeus, who were members of the pop group ABBA. So the story of Chess is narrated through the arbiter, who is like a referee to the chess world champion final. And the story starts with him telling of a backstory of the characters. So we have one grand chess master from Russia called Anatoly, and he was played by Michael Ball, and he was playing against an American called Freddie Trumper, as played by Tim Hora. So Anatoly, the Russian chess master, has a family which he leaves behind in Russia and flies off to the chess world champion final in Italy, and that is where he meets Freddie, his opponent, who has a love interest in the form of Florence, as played by Cassidy Jensen, who is also sort of his mentor. So this chess final takes place and Anatoly wins, but Freddie gets upset and accuses him of cheating. And while this is all going on, Florence is starting to get feelings and attraction to Anatoly, the opponent. So as time then goes on, a relationship forms between Anatoly and Florence, even though Anatoly is actually married in a loveless relationship. By the end of Act 1, then he decides to run off to be with her, leaving his family behind, and it's a big press thing about it, and he's been accused of leaving his country, to which he replies in the song Anthem. So Act 2 then begins with another chess championship in Bangkok, hence the song One Night in Bangkok, and he meets up with Freddie, his ex-opponent, who has trained up a protege to try to beat him. And so the competition final takes place between Anatoly and this new protege opponent, who is very regimented, and Anatoly again defeats him and wins in a very, very close game between them. But while this is also going on, Freddie then tries to befriend Anatoly because he feels a little bit sorry for him, but also at the same time he tries to embarrass him on live TV for what has happened. And by now Anatoly and Florence are in an open relationship for all to see. Florence decides that she wants her husband back, and then there is a confrontation between the two lovers, the wife and the current lover, hence the song I Know Him So Well. And then it ends in a very, very sad way, where his wife goes back to Russia, and Florence also doesn't want to be with Anatoly as well, so he's actually left to be by himself. And that basically is the story. if I've got it wrong, please leave comments down below, because I like to get my facts as right as I can. That was just the gist, really, of the story. It probably wasn't as clear as it sounds. Like I said, it is quite a complicated love triangle that goes on in this story, as well as other things that goes on. But like I said, there is a DVD filmed in the Royal Albert Hall, which I actually need to watch so I can compare and to see how right or wrong I was with the story. But I think that was the gist. I'm happy with my little review of the story on that anyway. But like I said, even though it was a bit of a complicated story, I did understand it. I have read, like I said, the synopsis and taken bits out of that. But you know, if you've seen it yourself, then, or because I know there are some very big fans on the musical, then I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on it as well. So leave that down below. And while we're at it, if you are liking this video, please hit that like button, and if you want to see more of my videos, please hit the subscribe button as well. Okay, so let's talk about the cast. And the two Grand Chess Masters were played by Michael Ball and Tim Hora. Now, I'm going to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Michael Ball. He's a bit like Marmite, you're either going to love him or you hate him. And I've seen Michael Ball in quite a few things over the years. Some things I do like and some things I don't. For me, I thought he did a fantastic job in this. His anthem was just brilliant. Now, I am a huge Josh Groban fan, and to me, Josh Groban's version of Anthem is up there. But this was pretty good, I'll be honest. It certainly brought the house down, and you could certainly hear a pin drop if when in the auditorium when the song started and throughout. Michael Ball has a very, very powerful voice anyway, and he certainly pulled this song off. And I was a bit reluctant and a bit worried about when he was about to start singing it, but no, he actually proved me wrong. He did a fantastic job through the whole show, and I've got to say he was really good. So the opponent, Freddie Trumper, was played by Tim Hora, who I'll be honest, I don't actually know at all, even though he has done many theatrical productions over the years, not only in the West End but also on Broadway. He was brilliant as the opponent. Both played very well against each other and very believable, and also had a very, very powerful voice as well. And certainly blew us away with his One Night in Bangkok, which I thoroughly enjoyed that song anyway. And he was very good, really enjoyed it. So Freddie's wife Florence was played by Cassidy Jansen, and again, it's not somebody I know, even though there's a wealth of theatre behind her as well. I liked her performance. I thought she did a good job of being the lover of Freddie, but also his manager, as well as Anteloni's secret lover as well. I thought she was very good. She had her solo songs as well, which unfortunately off the top of my head I can't remember the name of it. But she was very believable and nice presence on stage as well, and I thought she did a great job. Okay, so Anatoly has a wife called Svetlana, as played by Alexandra Burke. I'm going to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Alexandra Burke. I'm not saying that she's not a good actress or singer, and she is, just unfortunately she's a bit like Michael Ball, where I can't really relate much to her. I saw her in The Bodyguard a few years ago and I thoroughly enjoyed her, and I thought she was great. Sister Act, not as much. But with this, I think maybe because it's a small role, she doesn't really get the opportunity to develop her character fully, and I just couldn't relate to it at all. I just thought it was just a name to the show to publicise it a little bit personally. I could be wrong, but not saying she wasn't a bad actress at all in it, she did a good job. Just unfortunately, I wasn't the biggest fan of her in this at all. One other character that stood out to me was the Arbiter, as played by Cedric Neal. I thought he was brilliant. He had such a powerful voice and some really upbeat songs as well, and he certainly blew me away. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know Cedric Neal at all. I haven't seen anything he's been in before. But he certainly made an impression, and he certainly stood out for me on stage, and I thought he was brilliant, and I certainly will want to look out for future performances by him, see what else he comes up with as well. So as for the rest of the cast, I don't really know anybody else, I'll be honest, but they all did a brilliant job. It's quite a large cast as well, and there were, again, I keep saying it, there was no weakest link in anybody within this production, and everybody played a vital role to move the story along. But they all had their opportunities to be on stage and sing their songs, etc., and I thought they were really, really good. I mean, the music in itself is just brilliant, and so with the cast, and I gotta say, everybody, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Michael Ball and Alexandra Burke, I thought everybody did a brilliant job in this production, and they deserve that standing ovation at the very end because it was an incredible show. I've got to talk about the orchestra for this production. They had a live orchestra playing on the stage itself as well, and my goodness, they were just incredible. They deserve a round of applause themselves because they did a phenomenal job. I'm counted from looking at the programme, 27-piece orchestra. I don't know if that sounds about right, but I've counted all the different instruments on there. I could be wrong, I'm not a musician in that sense, but look at all the people that were all playing all the instruments on stage. They were just brilliant. I mean, from the moment the overture struck, it was just mesmerising, and I'll be honest, the music of chess is not easy to play, let alone sing, and it just brought it all alive. It felt like you were in a pop concert. It was brilliant. I mean, the music of chess is so diverse anyway. You've got your ballads, you've got your upbeat tempo numbers, you've got your pop songs, you've got your rock songs. It was just, and the band and the orchestra just kept playing, and just wow, it literally blew you away. And sitting in the audience, you could really feel the energy and the acoustics within the auditorium from this orchestra, and it was phenomenal. I keep saying that word, but it was. I love hearing an orchestra. Similarly, they also had an orchestra for Sunset Boulevard, also in the ENO, London Coliseum, and that was brilliant as well. Funny enough, that was also on stage. But these were brilliant as well, and I gotta say, take my hat off to these guys because they did a brilliant job of bringing this musical alive. So yeah, the musical itself is quite like a rock concert, very Jesus Christ Superstar. And from researching about this musical, I found out that the musical itself actually started off as a concept album, a bit like Jesus Christ and Evita, prior to actually becoming a stage musical in itself. And it certainly has a large fan following because a lot of the audience members were singing along to the songs or humming along, or I was listening to some of the conversations that were going on during the interval about how some things have changed and what they liked and they didn't like, etc. Okay, so let's talk about the staging, and my goodness, this was a musical experience. The whole stage was covered in a variety of different sized squares that represent and make up the chessboard, not only across the floor but also across the stage itself. And these chessboard squares would also be projectors, as well as if you were going to a pop concert. You know, when you go to a pop concert and you see the singer on big projectors on the side of the stage, and these would actually form one big giant projector on each side of the stage for everybody to see. Honestly, you felt like you'd been in a pop concert. And what I loved as well was that on the stage, mingled in between the ensemble, were cameramen who were actually filming on cameras to be shown on the big projectors, the actors who were actually singing as well. So like, for example, if like One Night in Bangkok was projected on the two big screens on the side, as if he was doing a press conference, So obviously the guy with the camera looked part of the cast as well, and it was used very, very effectively as well. All the projectors, you know, like for example, this plane lands in Italy or Hungary, and literally on the, when I say on the stage, obviously on the projector of the stage, and then one part of the square opens up where the sort of the door to the airplane would be, because you see the nose, and people would get off as if they were coming out of the airplane. It was very, very cleverly done, and used very, very effectively. It wasn't an overkill of it, it just enhanced the whole experience, hence why it did feel like a rock pop concert as well, which this musical, I guess, is as well. So I mean, I thought the staging was brilliant, very, very clever, as you can see in the photos and on the little short clips I did the video at the start of this vlog as well. It was really, really impressive. I was very pleased, and I love the way musical theatres go in different directions these days in pushing boundaries as well, and this certainly did. Also noted was the front of the stage was a big gap, and where usually the orchestra pit would be and stuff, but that was actually used as well, where chessboards would come up from the pit and then obviously disappear, and so the couches would go down there or come up that way, and that's how end of Act 1 goes, obviously with Michael Ball singing the anthem song with a lectern in front of him as if he was giving a press conference to the audience, us. And then at the end of the song, the platform goes down, he goes down with it. So even the front of the stage would be used, and that would be a chessboard as well. So yeah, really, really, really clever, and I just thought it was just brilliant and very mesmerising, and very sort of wow factor was certainly definitely there. Okay, so let's talk about the view from the seats. So I sat in the stalls. I generally like to sit in the stalls. And I sat at the back of the stalls in row P, seat 9, and even though it was the back row bar 1, it was still a brilliant, perfect view of the stage. The auditorium itself is massive, and even though it felt like you were quite far back from the stage, it wasn't. I mean, of course, ideally I'd love to have sat further closer to the front, but the cost of the tickets was a large factor for this. They were quite costly. I mean, I think top prices were looking at £150 to £170 a ticket. Now I sat further back. So yeah, I don't really want to spend that much money on a show that I've never seen before, just in case I didn't like it or to enjoy it. So I went for a slightly cheaper seat further back as well. But like I said, there was nothing wrong with the seat, it was brilliant. The only thing I didn't know when I purchased the ticket was that the sound booth or box, whatever you want to call it, was right next to my seat. So I literally had a wall right next to me. It didn't block any of my view or anything like that, but I was just conscious of this this wall, this sound desk next to my seat, because I was the last one in that middle row. I was central. I think it's I think when 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, a block of seats been taken out for the sound desk, and then it carried on, I don't know, say from 15 onwards, 15, 16, 17, and so on. So it was quite nice in the fact that I had nobody sitting next to me. But it was a little, I could still hear a little bit of the stage hands working there on the lights and the sounds that they do in the back there, which wasn't really off-putting. I'll be honest, wasn't off-putting at all. It's just I was a bit more conscious of it than I would normally have been. But the view was perfect from the seat, as you can see from the video and the footage. Yes, of course, there was people sitting in front of me, but that wasn't an issue at all. This is quite a good rake in the Coliseum. And yeah, I would sit there again. I said ideally I'd like to sit further forward, but obviously you've got to take into account the cost of these tickets as well, especially on these short run shows as well. But no, nothing wrong with the seat. I thoroughly enjoyed, and I would certainly sit there again. So that wraps up my review of Chess the Musical at the London Coliseum. If you've seen the show, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. Please leave those down below in the comment box as well. So this was the second show of a 2-show day in London, and if you haven't seen part 1, where I went to see the Rink at the Southwark Playhouse, then please have a look at that video. If you like this video as well, please hit the like button, and if you'd like to see more of my videos, please hit the subscribe and also a little bell notification, as well as I regularly see many shows in London and also in Cardiff, because I'm from South Wales, as often as I can, and I try to post as many videos as I can as well. So anyway, I just want to say thank you again for watching my video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and up until next time, happy theatre.